Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Fanalysis, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm Rotty4, this is Granger1901.
Hi.
This is Evan95.
Hello.
This is Jensarai1.
To Miss Granger, wishing you a speedy recovery from your concerned teacher, Professor Gilderoy Lockhart. Order of Merlin, 3rd class, honorary member. I'm not reading that whole thing.
Thank Christ. And this is Anton Bandelay.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
Matt, we won't bother with a summary on this one, but we're talking about the Very Secret Diary. Take us away.
Oh, okay.
We're on a short time,
Real smooth intro there.
Yeah, real smooth. Anyway, so it starts with Hermione like the hospital ring. I don't have anything to talk about, but it's there. Do you guys want to talk about that?
I'm actually glad that Evan did what he just did with his well, for people who are listening audio only, he just put up the chapter art for the American edition, and it's one of the things that I feel sorry for that Callan cannot experience, because that is one of the best chapter arts of the. Where do they even? I mean, they were
dwarves.
Cupid. They were,
They're
okay, they're dwarves. Okay, that's what. Okay, I was like, what are they
Dwarves
actually?
with little wings and harps.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the chapter art in general. I'm really not. Some of them it's all right, and it's not all just inherently terrible as far as I'm concerned. But the few bits that aren't right for me, I'm like, oh god, this is horrible. This is what people.
Are we gonna get on a goatee rant again?
No, I'm not touching it. But as for the hospital wing with Hermione, the only thing I like to comment on is the fact that it's nice to see the trio, banding together in this time. It's a light moment, and it's not really anything to dwell on, but it's good to see that kind of coming up, that they visit every night and still have the camaraderie going.
Bring her each day's
Personally,
homework,
Personally, I just kind of like the image of Hermione Granger with the yellow cat eyes.
Yeah, it's funny. The way they describe the transformation back is interesting as well, because it takes a lot of time. This is one of the longest breast periods they have.
Well, because it's not meant for human transformation, so she's kind of working with unfamiliar territory here.
Indeed. But on the way back from the latest visit, they encounter Filch in a rather irate mood. It leads them to the
as usual.
It leads them to the bathroom and I love the way it describes they promptly ignore the sign on the door again. Just as always, just ignore it.
Well, even before that, I think she does a good. Rowling does a good job of creating the sense of the school itself and the school year. Particularly like talking about how the rumor spread, like people thinking at first that she was attacked, but then it's just because she doesn't want to see anyone with her furry face, and then having like Pomfrey gets a lot of little scenes she does in these books whenever they're getting in trouble, and I always appreciate those because it does help me feel the world or the school year like playing out realistically. Yeah, the time skips throughout the entire series are very kind of consistently controlled. She manages to keep the pace and the plot going, and the year not slowing in every single book, because obviously the terms are the same for each, but she still, like you said, gives that feel of kind of presence. You don't feel like it's just time jump. You feel the kind of progression, even in short form, which is very effective. But they end up in the bathroom, and the place is flooded. It's a nice little lead into the next kind of step on that mystery journey.
Yeah, this is where they find the diary. Mm-hmm. Well, they find Myrtle crying about it.
Yeah.
Or being thrown at her. But which I guess wasn't intentional at all. They just threw the diary in there, not knowing she was there.
Yeah, right? Pretty much.
But yeah, she was just kind of sitting there.
She's narcissistic enough to think it's all about her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, given our history.
The reaction to the diary from Harry and Ron, I like the disparity between it, because as we've said before, Ron is kind of that window into the world.
This, in the entire series so far, which I know we're only 2 books in, Harry's never gotten on my nerves more.
Yep.
Ron gave a compelling case not to look at that book. And he's like, but I'm nosy.
Yeah.
I'm too nosy.
Speaking limerick for the rest of your life,
That was like the most Ravenclaw move that Ron gets for like a while, and he should have listened to that. I would not have touched that on the back of that information.
Precisely. I mean, from his perspective, it's just a wet diary. Who cares? But the alternative of it being risky, but we're not going to know until we open it. Open. It's like, do you have any idea what that could have just done to you? Ron told you what that could have just done to you.
Well, and also
reading it for the rest of your life, forever.
Yeah, or just going blind
Harry
or anything.
Never experienced the screaming book, right? That was only movie Harry that dealt with that.
Yes,
the screaming book.
No. He did experience it.
He did have the screaming book, but there wasn't the full-on face coming out of it. It was just like he opened the book, screaming sound, slam.
Yeah.
He would have like flashbacks of that. He'd be like, "Yeah, you know what? I probably should be careful."
And that was a library book.
Books have had a bit of a history.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of that scene in the Half-Blood Prince movie where Snape is examining the necklace and he doesn't touch it. He freaking levitates that thing with his wand, and I'm just like, Why is everyone not just doing that with every object on the off chance that, oh my god, it'll burn my eyes out or eat my soul?
The
And
boldness of youth.
well, yeah, boldness of Harry, because Ron was
And that,
stupid.
yeah.
But
Okay.
but hey, Gryffindors, right? Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. It was one of the dimmer moments that we see from him.
It's funny because it's like on a streak, because I had issues last chapter because they had a whole month to do reconnaissance to find out where the Slytherin like chamber was, and they're like, oh, we'll wait till we only have an hour. Like, yeah. But yeah, they're not thinking here, or he's not.
Yeah,
but
the alternative is of course the Horcrux element, but the attachment there. But we'll get to that in a bit later.
Yeah, well,
they get
the book and they get the name. We get the first drop of TM Riddle.
We get the individual note of that, and the fact that Ron recognizes it. As we said earlier, the tidbit of him having polished the trophy so many times comes up here as he kind of remembers. Oh yeah, if you'd polished that name a million times or 50 times, because it's
you'd remember it too.
Right.
Yeah.
And Harry does a good job too of like discerning that he's Muggle-born because of where the diary is purchased, which is cool. I don't know
I like
that
that, yeah.
particular road, but I'm sure like if someone from London like lived there, they were like, oh yeah, that's probably a cool tidbit for them.
And it's one of those rare occurrences where the Muggle world does kind of come into the fray, because she does a very good job of keeping that separate. Harry doesn't make many allusions to it in the series. This kind of stands out as being one of the rare cases, particularly in
part
direct
of that is because
Hogwarts
he
scenes.
doesn't comparative to like us, he doesn't know that much about the Muggle world either. His life with the Dursleys was kind of prisoner-esque.
Yeah, isolated and all that.
Esque, he lived under the stairs.
Yeah, but he went to school and stuff. They didn't put bars on his window till this book, right? So,
They're not that bad.
Backtracking for a moment, just to Tom Riddle getting the award for special services to the school. I can't help but wonder if Dumbledore posthumously revoked that after the events of this book, because this is the book where Tom Riddle is confirmed as the perpetrator of those events. So, can you posthumously
Is that mentioned? I'm not sure.
strip someone?
I
of
don't
their
think it ever is,
awards
but I mean,
It would make sense.
you know?
Yeah, I'm on board with that
Probably.
idea.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
And also
they,
the addition of owls is mentioned. I didn't realize it was this early in the series that she knew that owls would be a thing, and that's not supposed to show up until their 5th year. So like again, going into conversation about why he got the special services award.
It makes sense because the twins and stuff, like they have to contend with owls before the main characters do. So like it makes sense for her to be laying those seeds now.
Yeah, mostly in relation to the Weasleys and the other brothers as well. Like, he got so many owls, etc. So there's like reasons for it to come up now, even if it's not directly relevant to the main characters. So that's one of the advantages of the school setting. But yeah, they take the diary back. We get the cut to February and the start of the month with Hermione.
Well, and also
getting
the fact
released.
that the huge thing is that there's nothing in it.
Yeah, they open it.
They're like,
blank.
why?
Yeah. Which is the kind of what they're going over at the moment as the trio when they've
Hermione tries to use a revealer and it doesn't do anything.
It's kind of fascinating though to think about, because we know that the reason why it's not showing any writing is because it was enchanted as a Horcrux, which kind of makes you wonder just what sort of dirty secrets were actually written in the diary before Riddle enchanted it, because this is literally the diary of a serial killer.
Yeah, it's a good point actually, whether or not he actually wrote in it. I've been inclined to just kind of assume he didn't at the time, and he just kind of went memories straight to page rather than turning written word into.
But if it's something he
memories.
had for a long time, why wouldn't he have written in it
Yeah.
beforehand?
I can't imagine him being like,
it's a
I
diary.
killed my uncle this summer.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine that. But he spent many years searching for his family history, like the location of the chamber. He didn't find it till he was like in 5th year or something, or this year.
Yeah, well,
The diary
So it might have been
his-
clues to himself that he's keeping a log of what he's doing.
His notebook, as well as just notes on the bits of dark magic that he himself is practicing behind closed doors, because we all know that Riddle was basically just using Hogwarts' library as an all-purpose dark magic instruction. To the
Very
point where
similar to
freaking-
Snape and like the
Creating.
Half-Blood notes that he had, it was like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But he was like, oh, let me probably hide this so no one can
Yeah.
just catch me with all this dirty stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely
I
buy
like
that
the,
more than an actual diary. Him making like log
Yeah.
notes and all of that, and say, okay, do this next. Note form stuff of everything he's basically picking up. I can definitely see that more.
And
I
it would
really
also
like
go.
the. Sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
It would also
ahead.
go a long way towards explaining just how and why so much of Tom Riddle truly got into this book. If he was using it as a logbook for just all of his activities at Hogwarts, just experiments with dark magic, researches into the Chamber of Secrets, etc., etc., it's literally the book is the direct repository for all of his early knowledge.
that makes it stick out. Like it's the one without that sticks out among all the other Horcruxes. Is not special at all. You know, the other ones have a distinct story behind them. But this is like a little bit unrelated. But after the frustration of finding it's empty, and like I really like the way she gets into Harry's mind, and like even he doesn't know why he keeps looking at this thing. The author, I mean, Rowling, where it's like he couldn't say even to himself why he kept checking it, even though he knew it was empty, and like that feeling that it might have been like a friend of his. That he kind of forgot from like childhood. That's such like a specific way of describing it, and I think I don't even know that I have that experience of like forgetting a friend, but I feel like I can relate to that. I really like.
I had that before. I've actually had that
so
before.
far beyond just regular curiosity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a nice little cool. Oh, sorry, can you go?
Sorry, and it's also just another indication, early hinting at the diary's more sinister nature, because as far as Harry knows, it's just a mundane diary, but he's starting to form bit too much of an attachment to it, almost like there's a ring in his pocket.
that and the fact as well that it specifically relates to Harry because of his own Horcrux attachment. You know, it's that connection with I've got a bit of Voldemort's soul in me, and here's another bit of Voldemort's soul. You know, that familiarity. It's a good call forward to that when it comes up later. But yeah, the Horcruxes in general, like one of the reasons that I understand or can buy him just picking it up as an allusion to what we get with the locket later, is the idea that it's kind of reaching out and just making him pick it up, because there's no reason they have to wear the locket in the 7th book at all. They could just keep it somewhere secure in the tent, but they immediately go for, no, I'm going to wear this. And I get the impression that that's the Horcrux experience. That's the earliest reaching out of it to it. It's similar in vein to what it's doing now with the diary. As you said, kind of very similar to the One Ring.
It calls to you, right?
It is the fact that the diary itself also has a very similar purpose to the One Ring, which is it's not a Horcrux created as a immortality contingency. It's a Horcrux created as a weapon to control others, which is the exact purpose of the One Ring as well as Sauron's Horcrux. It's not putting your soul in something just to hide that bit of your soul. It's putting your soul in something so you can use that something as a tool, as an extension of yourself.
Yeah, it's a valid point, actually.
You know you're evil when you weaponize your freaking soul.
And your own diary, yeah. But yeah, it's a good point, actually, specifically to this Horcrux, because of how it was intended to be used. Yeah, you're right. It's not just a storage location. This one actually was supposed to be put into action. So yeah, good point. But yeah, Hermione does the
way
usual,
he discovers. Well, I mean, like the way, because the next thing is Valentine's Day, and it's the way he discovers why ink sinks into the diary.
Yeah,
and I think it actually is more effective here than just in the movie, where you just kind of like.
I had a note about that.
It's kind of random in the movie.
I like how it's more natural.
We literally just drop it on. Yeah,
it's less proactive. Like, like the script means I have to find out the secret now. I'll scribble it. This is like just an accident, and it doesn't even occur to him in the moment. It's like afterward. After the whole,
as it wouldn't do, you know, it has that natural nature. It's like, curious, not like, immediately, why is the ink not on it? It works very well. The entire scene is more of that from what we've seen earlier in the book as well. You know, Ginny and Percy turning up at exactly the same time to be, you know, equal red herrings, depending on what you're looking at and reading into it. I honestly forgot just how completely pervasive Percy was in this book. He turns up at every opportunity.
I didn't start noticing it till I was rereading it this time. But it's clear like early on, because like he's even holed up in his room during summer, you know. But it's just because he's working and like writing love notes to his girlfriend and stuff. But yeah, he's a full-on red herring.
Yeah, never picked up in the earlier readings.
Speaking of love, we get a transition to the next sequence.
I felt for Harry. I had secondhand embarrassment for Ginny and Harry at the same time.
I felt secondhand embarrassment for poor Snape. I mean, he suggested in front of the school, "Hey, this guy will help. He'll give you like a love potion."
I love how it describes him like, "If you ask me that, I will make you eat poison."
Yeah.
Like,
even Flitwick is just heads in his hands, like, "Oh, why? What is happening?"
You don't have to go far to upset Flitwick. I'm just saying.
Just like going back for a second, though. Slightly backtracking, one of the little details I kind of noticed is that Hermione had a get well card from Lockhart, which my reference at the start of the video. And it's like the one thing I'm actually just a little bit conflicted. Like, was he sending that get well card just as part of his egotistical posturing, or was it literally best wishes? Because it's not like anyone except for her is going to see it.
I think it's both. I mean, I think he does, like, you know, like most teachers, like Hermione, because she's very talented, but at the same time it's Gilderoy Lockhart, so a majority of that get well card is his accomplishments. It's not about her being well or what he has concerns for her. Like that's what a real get well card would be. It'd be like a heartfelt thing for her, but like half of it is about, and here are all my accomplishments. So like, yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think a tiny bit of him does actually, care for Miss Granger, but still it's him. You know what I mean?
It is still Gilderoy.
It is a nice little reminder, though, that as much of an asshole as Lockhart is, he's not inhuman. He's not a Death Eater.
Yeah.
He's just a douche.
And he's painfully awkward, as we're seeing in the rest of this chapter, because this entire idea is like, why, man? Why?
These dwarves. See, when I first read this as a kid, I just assumed that this is what dwarves did, in the same way that like house elves look after humans' stuff and keep it nice. I think that dwarves don't necessarily do this all the time. They were hired and asked to do this.
And
so
did it. So it says a lot about the state of their general options in life.
They needed the galleons.
They probably don't get very many jobs if you think about it.
Backs and given a harp to go and dance around and deliver Valentine's Day messages in song. I mean, it doesn't get any more on the nose than that.
And given this is the only time they come up, we're a long way from Tolkien in Rowling's world. But yeah,
I love their action too. Like one of them just like breaks some kid's shins to get to Harry to like all of that. I feel like is all very very nice.
It's comical.
Imagery.
Yeah, the entire this is the most out there
there
that Harry Potter gets in terms of its extreme weird human like elements, but it's still at least funny in the moment. I could work my way through the cringe because Harry tries to as well. He tries to laugh it off with the one, playing it off, being that popular kind of Gryffindor type of person. He's like, yeah, this is funny, and his inside is like, kill me now, kill me now, kill me now.
Well, at the very least, he didn't write that poem. That's the real like cringe is like poor Ginny. Like everyone knows you.
The pain of that moment for her must have been horrific, and the fact that this would have lived on with her because the fact that they stay close later on in life, this is going to have come up a lot.
And kids who are reading this
Remember
at the
that
time, kids who are reading this at the time that they're growing up with Harry Potter. That happens. You'll have like the teacher pull a note from you, like right when you're pulling it,
and
to
read it out
go across the and like reads it out loud. So that's exactly
you like
what's
to share it
happening
with
to her.
everyone. Yeah,
exactly.
I bet they don't do that anymore. I bet there's too many
they
parents.
don't
You just
do
text
it
one
here
child.
that I'm aware of.
There's no more
just
note
text each
passing.
other. Yeah.
Still, whatever. Like, actually, kids are dumb. Like when I went to school, we had cell phones. Like even though like we're old now, but people still pass notes even though they had cell phones then. So I don't know. I can imagine that they probably do. But anyway, moving on from that.
Well, we get aside from the Malfoy side of things, which is just Malfoying. He does actually pick up on Ginny, though. Worth noting, he does pick up that it's her that sent it.
That's her.
So it shows a little bit of his astuteness in the kind of reading.
He always has been. Malfoy he's second in their class. He's not for no reason. But this is the first time I believe Harry Potter does Expelliarmus, which becomes his like.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was about to mention. Yeah,
trademark.
It's the first use from him specifically we see, which as you say is going to be a big thing because he's basically the only spell Harry knows. Oh no, a problem. Expelliarmus. As
we know from the film, Expelliarmus has many uses.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, even in the books to an extent, but definitely more so in the
colors.
films. Yeah, it does have
many
applications.
When you combine three of them, you can almost kill somebody.
I know.
Yeah, that's the only time I like the change because it is three at once. But yeah, it makes more sense in the books. Anyway, we get to the messaging in the diary. Harry kind of writing it in the dorm and seeing where it goes.
And it writing back,
Creepy.
Very creepy. Yep, I do
Yes.
love this moment in both the film and the books. The way it kind of gets across that delay. I love the delay between them. Like he's actually writing back and taking the time, and when his writing deteriorates when he's rushing it. The visual of it appearing, it was very striking. Even as a child, I found this unsettling. Which is important as well because we get later on the talk about what Mr. Weasley says. Never trust something when you can't see where it keeps its brain. That's a very obviously it has no real application in the real life, magically speaking. But there's a lot of ways you can extrapolate that and attach it to something that's relevant in just general, and it leaves that unsettling feeling at the back of the mind.
This is just like such the difference between me and like Harry too, because like if this thing's writing at me and saying, "Hey, I know what happened when the chamber was open," I'm going straight to Dumbledore with this fucking book. Like I'm not like, okay, I'll tackle
But I
this
think
myself.
it's another. I think it is another example of the diary influencing him, though, because it's like, oh, I have secrets inside me, but don't tell anyone. I'll tell you, but don't tell anyone.
I can buy that because of the Voldemort inside of him.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a stupid thing to do.
But anyway, he gets sucked into the book.
Yeah, on this point, Is this a modified memory? Because he's observing Dippet before Riddle's in there. How can he remember that? He's not in the room.
We get a bit of that in general, don't we?
Yeah, that's.
Unless
I don't
Voldemort was listening at the
think
door,
so.
which is entirely
That is
possible and
odd.
using his imagination. But I think we see that in some places. I can't recall though. But either way, it's
Probably
entirely
That's
possible.
probably
that
just
he's
for the sake of like the narrative.
yeah, narrative flow and also just in
Still, like my
imagination.
nitpicky.
But then
nerd
again,
break
I
like
guess you
this
could have had
don't
it with
make
him
sense.
just coming through the door and not him, messing around at his desk.
He's there for a
That's-
solid minute, apologizing
Yeah.
for being there and like looking
And
around.
not
and
quite
like, hey, I'm sorry,
catching
sir,
on.
I'll leave.
Yeah, he's not catching on. Like, come on, Harry. It's not complicated.
Well,
Didn't you see that it's all like the colors are all washed out, like in the movie?
Well, I don't
But,
know. Is it washed out in?
No,
the,
no. I was making.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
no,
I
that's-
was gonna say,
again,
like,
the movies. That's just the movie.
But yeah, we get
it
the,
is
the
also
scene
more
with the
effective that it
headmaster.
was Dumbledore in the movie versus
Dibbet.
Dibbet, because then you have that through line.
This is actually an extremely important scene in terms of ground laying, though, because this is the first time we really understand Voldemort's, certainly in his early stages, psyche.
Backstory?
We don't know, of course, that it is
Right.
him at this moment, unless you've put it together at this point in the book. But yeah, this is the introduction of his connection and yearning to stay at Hogwarts, and
Right.
as well as his family life back home. So this is kind of
Yeah.
important.
Well, and also
We don't
he
know it at the
created the
time, but it's a
issue-
very important moment.
And him living at an orphanage.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and he created the issue himself because he's the one who opened the Chamber of Secrets.
Yes,
and
yeah.
he's the reason why he won't be able to go back to Hogwarts anymore. So he's like, oh crap, okay, let me figure out a
Scale
way
this
to
back.
make this work.
Wait
Yeah.
till
It's a
after I've
perfect
left
ex-
But
Hogwarts.
also, it's a trust thing.
It's a perfect early example of Tom Riddle and later Voldemort's recklessness. He's very intelligent in terms of cognitive ability. He can do amazing things, but his wisdom is rock bottom. He does not make intelligent decisions, and oftentimes he's just flying by the seat of his pants because, ooh, shiny, powerful, mine.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
not.
But at the
he's
same,
not a
at the
forward
same
thinker
token, he
in
can
grand
think
scheme.
on his feet in the moment at times because he did come up with his plan to frame Hagrid in that moment. As the book describes.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
but-
understand this moment. Like, I can put I didn't spend 5 years finding this to not open it. Like I would try. I understand that. But
And also, it's a good way of ensnaring Harry because, well, he doesn't know this exactly, but Harry can empathize with what he's going through, a little bit, because he's like, oh, I also didn't grow up with my parents. I also don't want to leave Hogwarts ever. Like, I don't want to go back to the Dursleys. So it's a good way of roping him in. I don't know if there's something that Voldemort shows you a specific part of your memory. So he's like, okay, this is what you will like. So I'll show you this part of my memories. Or if it's just like a recurring thing. Like, what do you show Jenny as opposed to what is he showing to Harry? That kind of thing.
that's a
I
good
wouldn't
point. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Voldemort's ultimate plan, had he been in power for a long time, would have been eventually to close down Hogwarts as a school and just turn the place into his personal HQ, and just so he could have Hogwarts all to himself. Because he is the sort of person who would do that.
Yeah, we don't know long term, but short term, he was definitely trying to keep it for the dark arts, obviously, and training the new.
Well, yeah, I mean, he
students.
obviously
He was
didn't
going
want
to
to become a
dissolve all the
teacher.
other houses and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing you mentioned about Ginny though, do you think she was actually shown memories? Because I got the impression that she was just
I
dealing
don't
with the
think
writing.
so.
I got the
I don't
impression
No,
she was
not
getting
not
messages back.
memories. He interacted with her and pretended to care about her problems.
That's what I mean.
And yeah, but you mentioned one of you mentioned like the similarity. I think it was you, Kellen. Like Harry kind of being able to relate to the situation he's in because he's an orphan. I like how because I distinctly remember this at the end of the book. Like Riddle will note that the two look something alike, and she drops that here as well that they both have jet black hair. So it's a nice, not heavy-handed way of like making that sort of usual dichotomy of like the two foils where it's
Right.
like. It's there, but the way it's expressed isn't like right in your face. It's a little bit more circumvented,
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized one possible reason for why Riddle has the memory of Dippet sitting in his office just doing his thing before he showed up. It is possible that at this point Riddle was already experimenting with legitimacy, and what Harry is seeing is actually Riddle's sense memory of reading Dippet's mind before entering the room. Because it seems to me
Technically
that
possible,
Riddle, as soon as he became capable of doing that, probably started just projecting his awareness and reading minds in rooms to see what people are doing before he enters. Like,
Oh well, he
Are they
needs eye
talking about
contact.
it?
He needs eye contact for
Yeah.
that, but he could do that during
Right.
the actual discussion itself, so that's not a problem. And Dippick strikes me as the type of person that wouldn't be a particularly accomplished occlument as well, so it's a possibility. But yeah, the next scene in the memory worth talking about is Dumbledore, because this is when we get the interaction between him and Riddle. Quietly
Less
ominous.
detailed than in the film, yeah, but more, like you said, ominous.
It's that connection. You know, you can tell that Dumbledore's reading him in exactly the same way, effectively.
Well, I mean, Harry even makes the connection that it was a look that he recognized all too well.
That's
It is
sparkle
funny
behind
how
the eyes
Voldemort
and
gets
stuff.
caught skulking around, but not Hagrid with his giant monster.
You know, the irony is it's probably down to the fact that Hagrid is better at being discreet, especially when he's actually got something like that to hide. So he'll
That
try
has to
extra
be
hard.
impossible.
Whereas-
He can't be more discreet than Voldemort.
Oh, do you mean as in
That's
the modern
world-breaking.
times, Connor, or Hagrid?
Well-
Hagrid then Hagrid now, or do you mean Hagrid to Voldemort? Because I definitely don't think Hagrid's more discreet than Voldemort.
Yeah, it is kind of tricky.
But yeah,
Of
we
course,
get the.
it might just be the sort of thing where it's like, because Riddle is such an upstanding student and is held to such a high standard, when he's doing something non-standard and kind of suspicious, people pay more attention. Whereas with Hagrid, Hagrid's always doing something stupid. It's like even Riddle explains that. So it's like, you see Hagrid skulking around, oh, it's like, whatever. Oh, it's just Hagrid. But if you see Riddle doing it, it's like, hey, what's the Slytherin head boy doing down here? And why does he look so shifty?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Hagrid's probably an exception to that rule in general because Hagrid, but yeah, students that don't stand out themselves tend to get a bit more invisible. You get more invisibility points in that regard. Early stage Weasley twin, probably why he likes him so much. But yeah, we get the scene with Dumbledore, when Dumbledore wraps up. We get the move on to Hagrid and how he's opening that chest and revealing what we don't know, but it's some sort of creature. And I like this gave me callbacks. Obviously, I've read this many times, many years earlier, but this gave me callbacks now to the Palpatine, like, oh help, whatever will you do moment, like when he's doing the conversation with Mace. What's the name?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I thought you were talking about the spiders.
No, but it's just the kind of way Riddle is framing this. Like even in with
Pretending.
Hagrid specifically, he's like, I'm sure you
He'll
didn't
be-
mean to. You know, who are you saying that
Yep.
for? He's clearly clever enough to kind of lay the groundwork. Not just for this moment in situ, but also just using it for potential future occurrences. What do you think of that scene? Because it's one of the rare, not action, but climax kind of moments in the very last page of a chapter. Usually, she's wound down by this point in the early books.
Yeah.
Certainly
One thing
keeps
I
the
do-
tension up. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
One thing I do find interesting about this chapter, though, is just the idea that Hagrid and Riddle are actually on first name terms.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone calls
Yeah,
him
it's like-
Hagrid.
Yeah, so that's kind of intriguing because Hagrid tells everyone to call him Hagrid, the fact that Riddle is calling him Rubius, it's almost Riddle using the same trick that Dumbledore pulls with him, refusing to
Right.
use his preferred name and instead referring to him by his given name, kind of as a subtle put down. I'm not playing your game, Hagrid. Your name is Rubius.
I could certainly
Well,
buy that more than the theory that they're in the same house that some people have,
Yeah.
put forth over the years.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
Hagrid doesn't have a house
Hagrid isn't a
technically,
Slytherin.
huh?
Well, no, he does. On Pottermore, he's listed as Gryffindor.
Yeah. He's,
Okay, I
he's
thought
yeah,
I
I
thought
thought
he
he
was
was.
Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
That or
thought,
Hufflepuff.
because it's easy to forget that Hagrid's only 13 here too. So I thought maybe he just was like Rubius still at this point. He's
Yeah,
that's a little kid.
that's
He's
what
13,
I
you know?
was envisioning, the fact that he didn't become Hagrid until later on, and
Because
also
Hagrid's the name of like a grizzled grown guy.
Yeah,
like
precisely.
not like a 13-year-old.
yeah, and also there's the fact that using second names outside of specific situations when
Malfoy,
you're, yeah,
Potter.
it's a sign.
Yeah.
It's a sign of
Right.
if not animosity, then disconnect. If you're friends or if you're even acquaintances in this kind of scenario, you're going to be using first names unless you're doing it specifically for like a jab or banter or whatever. So
Yeah,
so,
usually banter
yeah.
because you had the office with Beasley, with Jim saying Beasley all the time. If you're an office person, if you're not, then you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, yeah,
Beasley's
yeah.
It's
a
similar to
great name too. So that's funny.
Yeah, and
PB
there's loads of
and J.
different things that does it. Yeah. I'm sure the Weasleys get it a lot as well. Yeah.
But the ending of the chapter is a very good, mystery novel, red herring type of situation going on, which is like what she writes. She literally writes children's mystery novels with the, finish
Fantasy
of
smatterings.
fantasy, you know, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's mystery.
To me, this
like,
is this
and she
is
still
the
does that
most-
to this day. She's still writing mysteries. Like that's all she can do. It seems like or at least attempt to do, even if the mystery doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's just her thing. That's what she does.
I imagine she likes it or likes them,
Right.
you know. So yeah, maybe she should stop, but only because she's ruining ones that were already good. But that's all.
Yeah,
She's
adult
good
fan
at
of the
it.
day.
She's good at it.
Definitely. Well, she's one of the best at it for this.
She's
for
good
this
at the
series.
pacing of it. She's very good at the
It's
pacing.
like
Pacing
when
and
you
the tidbits,
painting,
yeah.
even though the painting is long done, stop painting it. That's all.
Mm.
Right.
But that's the chapter, guys. We're wrapping up now.
Yeah, it's like as Antoine said, interesting close to it. Usually we've kind of wound down by this point, and this is kind of upping this climax even to the last page. So it's an interesting one in terms of how the chapter alone is paced, let alone the story. And it directly sets up the following chapters with the kind of resolution of all the, as per usual, the supposed resolution of what's actually true in their heads. So yeah, it's a nice one. I enjoy it. Very well paced, very well self-contained, but still largely relevant to the rest of the series, or rest of the book rather.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone
Hey,
else
we're
have any
almost done with
closing
this book,
thoughts?
huh?
Or yeah, we are. Yeah.
I think we
No,
covered
good.
everything.
Yeah,
everything major.
this
so,
chapter's it's airtight. It adds up. It's like, and that's a great thing about our chapters in general, is that they still come to a nice conclusion in and of themselves, but they still leave you primed for what comes next. And this chapter is a great example of that. It's got a bit of a cliffhanger, but at the same time, you can still wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, not that anyone ever did. No one
Yeah,
waits
I was
for
saying
tomorrow
this
with
is
Harry Potter.
the book series is perfectly set up for a series. Like I think Harry Potter will work the best as a series, as I keep saying over and over. But I'll keep saying it over and over
agree.
until they
An
hear me. And they're
animated-
like, make it a series, damn it.
An
One of these
animated
days.
series, especially, because then they can actually portray the more outlandish aspects of magic without blowing their budget on special effects.
And you'll get like dwarves dressing up as Cupid. You get like moments like that. You know, you get a little bit more of that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
I can do with
And
that
you
being
don't have
cut.
to worry about your child actors aging out because the series
Right,
took
if you do
3
animate it.
3 years longer to make than it should have.
Yeah, that's why I stand with animation. That and the fact that you don't then have the cut between having two different actors portraying the characters. So that's the other benefit. But yeah,
And the-
one day it's
one
gonna
day
happen.
it's going to happen. Yeah, it will. It will
20 years,
eventually.
20 years.
most
But,
likely.
but yeah, anyway, those are our thoughts on the Very Secret Diary. Looking forward to the next chapter. It's kind of we're getting to that middle point where it is now winding down into the climax, or winding up, I suppose. Looking forward to seeing you next, guys. Let us know anything you think we've missed or want to cover in greater detail in the comments down below. I'm Retty4, and I still don't have an outro.
Gridget91, thanks for watching.
Evanova95, we hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys later.
His eyes are as green as a fresh pickled toad.
I knew it.
I knew
His
that
hair
was
is
coming.
as dark as a blackboard.
I knew it.
I wish he was fine. He's really
Unavoidable.
divine, the hero who conquered the Dark Lord.
Such a bad poem, Ginny.
It really is.
No.
Antoine Bandelet, I saw him. Mischief managed.
Yeah, the no good is already done.
Goodbye.